Okay, first off, my name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. I'd like to welcome you all here. A couple quick announcements because a couple people didn't know this. We have our own Facebook page for this group, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Keeps you all informed, not only with this group, but groups and events going on up and down the East Coast, and recorded speakers online, all kind of stuff. I mean, it's really great to be connected today. We have all this great technology. We also have a website too, and you should watch on there. You can see our speakers that are lined up each week. They come from pretty far distances to carry a message of hope and recovery, and that's what we try to do here. And we do this every Saturday night. It's always a party. You know, we have some great food. We went through so much food today. I think we went through, I was telling somebody, we brewed 850 cups of coffee today. Yeah, it's really crazy how much alcohol you love their coffee, right? Anyway, it's important if you get on Facebook to connect it with that. You'll know what's going on. Follow our Facebook page. You can go on Google. You can Google Saturday night 1-hour speaker meeting, 8:30 p.m. in Doylestown, PA. It should come up. It's something with a tarbosh beginning to the website, and that's a great way to keep connected. Anyway, we're going to need help at the end of this thing. If anybody wants to do any service work, this is an enormous cleanup after all this 12 hours of this all day long, and our speakers. I mean, let's thank our speakers for today. We had like amazing speakers. We had actually people come down from Connecticut and come from all different states, and it's like a family reunion in AA. It's really powerful stuff. We get to do this. We try to put on 3 of these a year. Okay, so we do pass the basket. It's all donation supported. We do it absolutely free because we're trying to reach the people that need it the most, and that's the beauty of this program. So anyway, no, thank you guys, and I thank you all for everything that you do during the year. There's so many people. It would take 3 hours to thank everybody. The people in the kitchen. Terry was in there, you know, slinging food all day. It was like crazy. And Joe's over there. He must have greeted, like, what'd you greet? 680 people an hour? It's like, anyway, Joe's going to come up here and chair. Enjoy it. Pete's going to hammer out. What are you hammering out? A vision for you, step 12. It's going to be fun. Thank you.
Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Joe, and I'm an alcoholic. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street at 8:30 in Doylestown, PA. The purpose of the group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and the service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to identify themselves with their first name? Welcome, Ray.
I'm Sharon Apple.
Hi, Sharon. Alex, welcome. Hey, welcome.
I'm Chris Vinci, and I'm alcoholic visiting from Ocean City, Maryland.
Welcome.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, good evening. Patty Ellenbow, a grateful recovered addict alcoholic from New Jersey.
Welcome back. Anyone else? Sure. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with the working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise their hands. Sponsors in the house. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those who can't afford them can put their donations in the jar at the table marked big book and CD donations. If you like any CD of any speaker, past or present, see me or Ron before or after the meetings. They're available free of charge. Elaine, would you like to introduce Elaine to the preamble?
Harvey, I'm Elaine, alcoholic. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, nor endorses, nor opposes any other causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. May I have Sarah come up and read the AA 12 Steps of Recovery.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah and I am an alcoholic. And here are the 12 steps of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only knowledge for His will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening, as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Thank you.
The seventh tradition, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, I would like to pass the basket. We have no dues or fees, but we have expenses: coffee, cream, donuts, rent, big books, and CDs. There's absolutely no drinking on the church property. Please silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, we bring you Peter with a vision for you.
I want to thank you for that fabulous introduction. It was a joke. Okay. My name is Peter. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Grateful to be alive and sober and part of a sacred place called Alcoholics Anonymous. And then thank all of you for having myself and the rest of the speakers here, and thank all the speakers for the great job you guys did, and Barefoot Bill for all the taping he's been doing. So it's been a great event. Big Book said great events will come to pass for you, countless others. I need to have my house in order to experience that, so it's been a great day. June 23rd, 1988 was my separation from alcohol, and I like to say I'm here tonight as a recovered alcoholic because it's true. For today. It's the first promise in the Big Book, and I get to talk about that and experientially live there. But I'm also very aware that tomorrow I can be unrecovered. And it really hinges on what I do today and what I bring into tomorrow that keeps people like us in the world of the Spirit recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Not cured of alcoholism, I'll never be cured, but we can get recovered and no longer have to suffer at the recovering piece where I experience the symptoms of the illness and the cycles of the illness, and I hit the peaks and valleys, and I don't even know what those days are going to look like when they show up, and I'm struggling, and I'm meeting resistance, and I have contempt. But we get past all of that, recovered from a single hopeless state of mind and body. The great news is also the Big Book talks about in step 10, where we cease fighting anything or anyone, that we get past the isms that accompany alcoholism, Because the thing I have found out, even though I'm not drinking, the illness comes to the surface, which I usually put alcohol on. And there's the sex sprees and the food sprees and the money sprees and the fear sprees and all types of fears. So even though I'm not drinking, I'm still experiencing alcoholism. I'm still experiencing current agnosticism. And I'm still driven by 100 forms of fear, but I'm not using. And the thing I have found out, if I'm in fear, I'm experiencing some agnosticism. And because of that, I'm in some self-reliance. And I'm back in fear. It's this vicious cycle, and I'm just wondering when it's going to get better. What meeting is going to make it click for me? What pearl of wisdom am I going to hear? And to me, that's just suffering and bondage while I'm in the meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they offer me on a golden platter a way to get out of this, to get recovered from those types of things. And I think we do a disservice to some of our newcomers when we just tell them, just don't drink and go to meetings. Because I'm an alcoholic. If I can just not drink, why would I have to come to a meeting? But I come to get and stay to give, and my recovery is not even about me, or my life's not my business anymore. I get to bear witness. I get to stand by the door and offer a solution. June 23rd, 1988, my separation from alcohol, I had been through 6 treatment centers, didn't know I was going to go into my 7th and God willing last treatment center. I had given up on Alcoholics Anonymous, I had given up on God, given up on my family, given up basically on everything. I was loaded with venom and hate and lots of contempt for life, and I knew I couldn't do this thing called life. I had no tools to do that. I knew how to get drunk and ruin my life, and that wasn't even working anymore because I couldn't get drunk and I couldn't get sober. Nothing worked for me. Bill says how dark it is before the dawn. I couldn't see the light yet. And what I found out is before we step into light, we must be in the darkness first. We need to experience the darkness first before we can walk into that light. That's just the way it is for many of us. Whether it was Park Avenue or Park Bench, we all have a story of being in that place where it looks like all hope is lost, and then we drop to our knees and finally find out that God speaks through the brick walls which I was trying to fight through and climb over. Because when all reservations are gone, any type of self-will is gone, any type of self-knowledge doesn't work, I usually drop to my knees and beg for help, and at that point, I'm not in a place of resistance anymore. I'm in a place of complete surrender. Whether I say those words or not, the Spirit is in a place of complete surrender. My beingness has quit. I've run out of road. And I met with a GOD, which we talked about earlier today, the gift of desperation. And it does not feel like a gift when desperation is given to me. I didn't quit drinking. I didn't stop drinking. What I got was rescued from my alcoholism through this feeling of despair on June 23rd, 1988, not knowing the path God was about to put me on and the messages He was going to send to me. And it wasn't only messengers in Alcoholics Anonymous, it was messengers like my dad, it was messengers like my brothers who brought me dignity, who brought me integrity, who brought me self-respect by their actions. And it wasn't only what they said, very often is what they did not say. And what they weren't saying anymore was preaching. You better get it together. It was just their actions. And their words like, we're with you. You can do this. Even God changed my family's outlook upon life and outlook with me. And that is something that cannot be changed with human means, by a human touch. It cannot be changed. I can't be changed. We can't be changed. My family couldn't be changed by that. By psychoanalysis, it won't work. But with the touch of the Master's hand, incredible things happen. When the big book says the age of miracles is still with it, our own recovery proves that. And if we're practicing principles in our homes, occupation, affairs, which I really try to do, when we go into my family, go into our families, we will see families walking a different path. They're not afraid anymore. And when we're going to be late, they're not waiting for the fire truck or the ambulance to go by and getting tight. They just know we're going to be late. We'll be home. We're probably working with the drunk. The shift in consciousness that only happens to me but happens to families if I'm awake and take these principles into all my affairs, and hope we have more principles than affairs at this stage of the game. I need to practice fidelity to my God and put no gods before my God. I can't put money before my God. I can't put relationships or property or prestige before my God. I can't put the corporate ladder I can't put anything before my God. I can't worship money and God. I can't have two masters. How can I serve God when I'm a slave to worldly things, when I'm a slave to my money, when I'm a slave to what you think of me? How could I possibly serve God when I'm really a slave to other things? And my slavery from other things comes from this wonderful predator called the thinking mind, which makes a wonderful servant but a terrible master. In my case, it was always my master. It was my God. Because my actions showed whatever it said, I did. Sitting in a meeting loaded with contempt and the speaker's really annoying me, that's not coming from spirit. That's coming from my mind, who might be hearing truth for the first time, and it's disturbing me. This man or woman saying things that I know I don't do. This man or woman saying things that I should be doing. I don't like them. Kill them. Get out of here. And we shoot the messenger because we do not like the truth, the messenger. But something happens when I got to that place of desperation. Even though some of the information disturbed me and it made me uncomfortable, I still listened for more. Because I was convinced at this point that my way did not work. Of myself I am nothing, the Father doeth the works. My grandsponsor would always ask me, based on what you've done thus far, how's that working out for you? I don't know, I just got out of my 7 treatment centers. Probably not too good. You know, I'm still running around on fear, seeing the world through fear, hearing the world through fear, speaking to the world through fear. All my actions are based in fear. And whether I was pompous and arrogant or timid, it was all through fear. How's that working out for me? Not too good, because I am not free. I see the elders in A walking around, appearing to be joyous, happy, and free. They take me to the diner, they invite me out, and they're talking about life situations, the problematic, volatile life, the world of impermanence we all live in. But they seem to be going through it with grace and dignity. And I'm just curled up in a ball because I can't even face tomorrow. And I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. So much so that my first 6 months, thereabouts in AA, I developed another thing. It was called binging and purging. And I had this wonderful eating disorder that I was afraid to tell anyone. Because in my narrow-mindedness, I thought that was a gender issue. Because I heard women with eating disorders. What kind of man am I? Who could I possibly tell? And someone got wind of it and called my sponsor. And then my sponsor opened up to me about his eating disorder that he had and the way out of that. The way out of that was taking the 12 steps, applying it, and which was going to take me to God, where I eventually got free of that. See, illness went underground and resurfaced in another area, food. Why? Because I still felt dirty and broken on the inside, and food worked, like booze worked. And my ego says, well, we're not drinking, we're okay. I was not okay. And during my first 6 months, I was going on all sorts of sprees because I couldn't be alone in my own skin. I was that uncomfortable and loaded with fear. So I go on the spree, emerge remorse with the firm resolution, not going to do that again. But sitting on the couch all alone was just too great of a chore, too much pain, too much noise in the head. The voices, all the voices talking to me about where I should be and what I should be doing, how my life should be. Oh, baby, give me a drink, it'll all go away, and I'm great again. But I can't drink, so what do? Here comes the spree. And I get relief, and then back into bondage. Get some relief, and then back into bondage. And it becomes this vicious cycle, and at somewhere, there's a double vodka waiting with my name on it. Bang, bang, and I get hijacked. That's alcoholism. Swear off booze forever, and I'm drunk an hour later. Tell the wife or the husband or the kids, not going to do it anymore. I swear to you, it's not going to happen anymore. And we mean it at that moment. And the next moment, we forget it and we pick up a drink because the decision to drink has been made for me. My sponsor would ask me, were you involved in your last relapse? I said, absolutely not. He says, keep coming back. I got the liquor, I paid for the liquor, but that decision was made for me. It took me by the neck and says, we're going. I said, okay. What involvement that I had? The decision was made for me. We're drinking, and my mind convinced me my body needed a drink, whether it did or didn't. That's bondage, that's alcoholism. And I need to take a look at how many other areas of myself are out of integrity while I'm going to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. Experientially, I can talk to you about that. I pick up a drink at 14 years old in Brooklyn, New York, on a street corner, not knowing what was about to happen to me. There was a lot of turmoil in me. My soul was hurting. Lost my mom a few months earlier. She was alcoholic and addict and committed suicide. My design for a living was removed. I was stuck with a guy as tall as this building. I called him Dad, who was cunning, baffling, and powerful. I was totally afraid of this man. He was the alpha male, the type A guy who was the general, the Al Capone of the Marinelli clan. I never saw him walk with fear. He didn't even blink. And I'm looking at this guy who's larger than life, who seems to be pristine in everything he does. And I'm walking around in fear and insecure. It was in the 60s, early 70s. I wanted to be a hippie. I wanted to be a musician. And my dad thought medication was needed for me immediately. Because that's not the type of walk you want. You don't want to be a musician. The hippies, don't hang out with the hippies. That's what I wanted to do. I love music. I love the hippies. It seemed the way to go. I loved all of it. And my dad was from another school. I remember I wanted to grow my hair long, and him and my mom got into this tremendous battle over me wanting to grow my hair long, because that's what the hippies did. I pick up a drink at 14 years old, and suddenly I'm not worried about my dad anymore. I'm not experiencing pain of losing mom anymore. I also stepped onto a road paved to hell called alcoholism. Because as alcohol does what alcohol does, and cold 45 beer was starting to make me nice and lightheaded and warm. The pain of losing my mom gone, the fear of my dad removed. Suddenly the girls got prettier, the guys got to be my best friends. I got to be about 6'2". This was got beer muscles. I was Al Pacino around midnight. Great experience. It was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. But the problem was, when my friends went home that night, I went into instant sobriety. Do not pull the plug on this. I finally found a panacea for my ills. Do not make this night end. Please don't end. But everyone went home. And all I did was romance the next weekend so I can capture that elusive feeling once more and get to that place that's indescribably wonderful, where the world doesn't hurt. And many times in sobriety over the last 29 years, the world is spiritually fit and all. The world can still hurt. Life can still hurt. I still get those things that make me swallow hard. The regrets and the past and the fear of the future. It hurts. And the only thing I can do is go back into surrender and ask God for mercy to give me the armor to do this. And sometimes it's just going to work. I don't have the courage to go to work, nor do I have the endurance to go to work today. I need your armor, I need your strength, I need your endurance. Everything goes through God. I need to be mindful of something called self-reliance, which loves to get in that. Self-reliance sounds like this: I'll figure it out. Let me think about it. When I ask a drunk advice and they say, let me think about it, I move to a new area code. Because that means if they're thinking about it, both of us are in trouble already. I kept drinking on weekends, and it kind of escalated into during the week, and I start to experience some consequences, and the next thing I know, I'm stealing from my family, and I get caught stealing from my dad's checking account, and I get caught, and I go off to my first treatment center. And I didn't go to my first treatment center by some heroic act of me. I got caught and was afraid of my dad, and he learned something about place called a treatment center. He knew I was drinking excessively, and my behavior had changed, and my morals fell off the ski slope, so he put me in a treatment center. And what they did was they detoxed me and talked about a lot of issues that I had for 28 days. And by the time I got discharged, I needed a double vodka all over again. I hated my family more after treatment than on the way in. They let me relive my mom's death and talk about how I felt. They let me relive the fear of my dad and how I felt about it. I was feeling a lot of things in treatment. And they did the very best they could, but I had not conceded to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic. I went there as a punishment. Now get me out of here and give me a drink. And about an hour after I got discharged, after 28 days, I had a drink in my hand. That's what I do. First of all, what consequences? I got caught one time. I'll take the heat for that. So they sent me away. I treated it like I did a 5-year bid upstate. 28 days in Amityville, Long Island, with tennis courts and handball courts. You know, a full gymnasium. Oh, I just got out. You know. And I picked up a drink, and the problem was, someone said it earlier, that once I have the first drink, I need the second drink. And then I need the third drink. And when I drink, the craving's always intensified, never satisfied. Someone said earlier before words, very true, that by the time I got to the fourth drink, I needed that fourth drink more than I needed the second drink. That's just what happens. That's my alcoholism. And my mind is screaming, keep going. My first step tells me I'm going to drink. If you put all the consequences that I'm about to experience, all the horrific things that I'm about to experience, all the wonderful things in my life that I'm about to lose, my mind will cast that aside in favor of the foolish idea, just one more time, just one more bump, just one more taste. Won't hurt. Just a little taste. I won't get into that much trouble. The problem is the alcohol goes down, the allergy says more. And so I'm drinking again. And the drunker I get, those things, I'll get them back. They weren't that important anyway. And then I wake up in some flea bag motel next to someone I don't know. And I did it again. Or I wake up in an abandoned building like I did in 1988, all alone, in the same filthy clothes, in the same filthy body, 60 pounds or so less than I weigh now. My body's breaking down, literally breaking down. And I wonder, how did I get here? How did I get here? From 14 years old to in an abandoned building at around 28, lose contact with my family, have 6 treatment centers behind me. I tried Alcoholics Anonymous. I knew you guys are frauds. I know treatment center are frauds. My religious community is a fraud. Nothing works. God's got me in his crosshairs. Why don't he just take me? I was laying in some flea bag motel in Staten Island, New York one time, and I downed a whole bunch of pills out of this bottle of pills, Valium. And I washed it down with Jack Daniels. Got into bed, put the covers up to here, and I welcomed the idea that I was going to go to sleep and not wake up. It was finally freedom. This was the way out. And I remember when I was going through treatment and sometimes hitting an AA meeting that some of the people would talk about that we will get to a point where suicide looks like the solution. It looks like the way out. And some of us, because I've heard lots of your stories, have been in that place. We've contemplated it. We've thought about it, planned it. And some of us have tried it. And God kept interrupting our death. And in this hotel, as I felt the pills hitting me and I was drifting away, I says, great, it's finally over. It's been one big mistake. My mom went the same exact way. Valium, a whole bunch of them, and a few other things, went to sleep and never woke up. And growing up, we were told mom was woman and women are weaker than men. That's what we were told. The Marinelli men are strong. That's what women do. They're weak. We got to protect the woman. Mom was sick. I thought suicide was a gender issue. Until I'm in this flea bag motel, and as I'm drifting away, I'm thinking of my mom, and I'm thinking of me, and we're going the same way, and the light bulb went off. This has nothing to do with gender. This has everything to do with alcoholism and suffering at the hands of alcoholism. And I want to treat this monster by just going to a couple of meetings a week. When I got the power to eliminate it a day at a time. Because, and I speak for myself, just going to a couple of meetings a week, I'm going to a gunfight with a pocket knife. It's not going to work. I'll get a little relief for an hour, but I need to go back out there. I need to go home. I need to go to work. I need to go shopping with alcoholism all over me. Hypersensitive, fear-based, insecure, and ego the size of this room. If you don't even say hello to me right, I'm pissed off. And I will nurse that grudge right back to a drink. That's what my mind does. That's in my brokenness what I do. I went through a 5th treatment center. 9 weeks. They held on to me. They kept me for 9 weeks in the 28-day model era. They held on to me for 9 weeks because they knew if they discharged me after 28 days, I was going to die this time. So they figured out a way with the insurance companies to keep me longer so insurance would pay for as long as they could. And they held on to me for 9 weeks, guys. Now, when you're in treatment for 9 weeks, you put on weight. You begin to bathe a little bit more regular. You're able to eat food and sleep. And you start to get some color back in your face. You know that gray color we come in with? And we think we're like really good. We're gray and we're drawn. That was gone. They took me to the gym. I was exercising a little bit. And I looked somewhat healthy. And by the time 9 weeks rolled up, I wasn't even thinking about drinking anymore. And I'm thinking, I'm gold. I'm good to go. When they said, Saturday morning, you're discharged. I says, great. I know what to do this time. Worst words I could have ever said. When an alkie tells me, especially a youngin tells me, I know what I need to do, you're already in trouble. Because if you know what you need to do, you would have done it already. You'd have no idea what to do. I need to be wide open, a clean eraser board. You put what you want on there, God. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stay sober. I don't know how to tie my shoes without a committee meeting. I don't know what to do. I get out on a Saturday morning. I have no post-acute withdrawal syndrome. In other words, my body's not feeling the pains of detox anymore. I'm fine. Hands aren't shaking. Body's in pretty good shape. I'm feeling rock solid like a little Marine. I get discharged on a Saturday. As soon as I cross the threshold onto Sunrise Highway in that area in Amityville, Long Island, I met with my alcoholism in the hideous four horsemen. I met with anxiety. I met with 100 voices in the head. I met with all of life coming at me, and it's going way too fast. People are going here, people are going there, people are in cars, people are shopping. Slow it down. I just came out of, like, mama's womb here, 9 weeks in treatment. And everything hurt. My life hurts. I can't do life with just abstinence. I don't know how to do life with just abstinence. I need some spiritual muscles. Well, I hang on Saturday, white knuckle sobriety. Can't sleep, can't eat, can't talk, can't pay attention. Restless, irritable, discontented. I hang on Sunday the same way. I'm busting out of my skin. I can't take it. And then I hear, we need a drink. Out of nowhere, I'm about to get hijacked. Monday morning, I go downtown Brooklyn. I'm outside the liquor store, pacing back and forth, feeling physically ill. There was nothing wrong with my body, but my mind says, yes, there is. We need a drink, so much so I start to shake. My stomach's upside down, I'm sweating, I'm clammy, I'm all uncomfortable. I'm just waiting for the liquor store to open. He opened. I put my money under the glass partition. I got a pint of Mr. Boston Blackberry Brandy, and it went down as fast as I can get it down. You know what happened? All the anxiety and stuff went away. That's how it felt. Everything slowed down nice. I got the safety bear bag went out around me. I felt in control, I felt some power, the stomach settled down, the headache stopped, my hands slowed down, I'm ready to do life now. Now here's the problem, because that's what alcohol is supposed to do. That's what sedatives do. Antidepressant, just slow you down. Puts up a bag, an airbag, with me and life, the buffer. The problem is I'm alcoholic, I had to get a second pint. By the time I finish the second pint, I'm drunk. And what I like to do when I'm drunk is eat pills. So now I'm in the Red Hook Projects in downtown Brooklyn, popping pills. And as many pills as I get in me, along with the drinking, the better, because the more numb I can get, the better. The more I can push life out there, the better. I want to be comfortably numb. I don't want to feel, I don't want to hear, I don't know nothing. And that makes me feel in control when I'm actually way out of control. The delusional mind that I'm doing okay when I'm bleeding out. My dad got me this little apartment in Brooklyn, and the goal was for me to get my life together and get me back to my old job again. He furnished the whole place for me. And I sold the TV. It wasn't the flat screens, it was those old-fashioned TVs. Carried on my back, carried everything out, sold everything. Everything. My dad bought me clothes and shoes and boxes, sold everything. You know, you hustle it on the street for the price of a drink, a handful of pills. I brought the Bowery into this place. The bed was bloodstained and soiled. I wasn't showering. There was garbage all over the floor, laundry all over the place. It looked like a pigsty. Mr. Boston Blackberry Brandy's all over the place. One night, I couldn't find the bottle. I actually hid a bottle, and I lived alone. And when I came to, and I don't know why I did this, but it came to me afterwards, when I came to, looking for the bottle. If anyone's ever seen the Days of Wine and Roses, where he's going through the nursery, ripping up all the plants, looking for the jug he hid and he couldn't remember, I got the table and I threw it up in the air. It split in half, put a hole in the wall. Where is the pint? And I had this moment, this aha moment. I'm a madman. This thing owns me. When did this happen? The landlord came down, was barking at me. I barked back, almost got thrown out, and eventually I got thrown out of there. And here I am on the streets, and I got into my 6th rehab. That lasted a day and a half, and I signed myself out for one reason. I needed a drink. I'm not doing detox again. I'm not going to go through that. And I'm not going to go to one more group and talk about my feelings again. It's not happening. Besides, it doesn't work. Who are we kidding here? My name is Peter Marinelli. There's nothing successful, nothing good, nothing bright about me or my life. Alcoholism was lovingness. Because if given the right moment, the right opportunity, I would have looked to try to take my life again. I was living in despair, like many of us have, and depression. And I hit the streets. No job, no girlfriend, who wants to be with me? No family. And I remember the first night out on the streets, I thought it was a good thing. And then I realized I'm alone. And if I get arrested, if I get shot, stabbed, OD, something, thrown off a building, which I was almost thrown off a building one time by some bad people, no one knows. Who's going to know? They'll find out like a week later when they find the body. When the big book says we know loneliness such as few do, it is only because of external things. It's about what's going on in here. That's why I don't want to just recover. I don't come to AA to recover from alcohol, drinking, alcohol consumption. I would come to AA to recover from alcoholism. And in that, I'm able to make peace with my past by going back and make amends. How can I live now knowing what I've done then? How can I come to a meeting now and say I'm present and awake and I have a joyful life, knowing what I've done then and I haven't resolved it yet? Haven't gone back to make amends. I'm just a meeting maker. That's all I do. I'm totally consumed with me in sobriety. I was outside the Port Authority one time, and God delivered me my truth, and I basically spat back right at God for what He did to me. It was as if my life stopped for a moment. It's like the life passed before me. I don't know if it was a few seconds or not, but I thought of my mom, I thought of my brothers, I thought of my dad. As much as I didn't like him, I was missing him. The type of guy you want to be in a foxhole with, whether you like him or not, because you know you're going to be okay and get out. I was missing that. I was missing my family. And I felt so alone outside the Port Authority, 9th Avenue side of the Port Authority, and I looked like the people who were rummaging through it. I looked just like them. How did I get to here? And I cursed God again. But God's not a human power. Because a human power would have said, that's it for you. You've cursed me out enough. You've betrayed me enough. But as Marion has shared with me many times, God is so loyal to us. Is so faithful to us. Do you ever date someone and they break your heart regularly? You give them everything, you give them your soul, you give them yourself, and you find they're running around with like other people, or they're not showing up. They just break your heart. They're physically or verbally abusive, and you try to hang in there, and you say, when is it going to get better? Why are you doing this to me? I'm that guy with God who's faithful, who's given me in abundance, and I keep going other places. And if God was a human power, I would have broke its heart years ago. But God's not a human power. God's begging to have a relationship with me, begging to have a relationship with us, and will go to any lengths to have a relationship with me, go to any lengths to have a relationship with us, which means from time to time in His way of giving will be removing a relationship, removing money, removing the toys, removing stuff so we can get closer. Because the house and the money and the girl, all that stuff, the guy, is in the way of you and I. And so God takes it away. And I think God just sent me the trials of Job. Oh my God, what did I do to deserve this? And it's really purely out of love. It isn't the trials of Job. He's trying to get between me and a drink, and some of those people, places, and things are going to cause me to drink. So He steps in the middle and pulls them out. There was a time I can never, ever digest what I'm about to say. I can be grateful today for my alcoholism, as awful it was. Because of my alcoholism, I am a seeker of God. I am a servant to others. I've been given a servant's heart. And because of my alcoholism, I have found freedom beyond what I ever could comprehend. Because I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what you gave to me. I was just another drunk walking in a door in 1988 after my 7th and, God willing, final treatment. So I was no special guy. I didn't look too good. I didn't sound too good. I had no meeting etiquette. My family gave me some rules to live by. They were long gone by the time I showed up to you. And you just said, keep coming back. I would drop F-bombs regularly. They said, keep coming back. And when I got a sponsor, he pulled me aside and said, we don't do that here. You guys began to teach me and put new software in. I came home after a year of living in Minnesota with treatment and halfway and three-quarter house and that whole dance. And I found some wonderful people at a meeting called the Three Legacies meeting who carried the message to me. See, very often we do a 12-step, we talk about how we're carrying a message to others. But if no one carried it to me, you'd have a different speaker here tonight. I was living in a town called Hastings, Minnesota. And these men would drive from somewhere like in Minneapolis all the way to Hastings. Hour and change drive on a Friday night. Come pick me up, put me in the car, meeting in the car before the meeting, drive me back to Minneapolis for the Three Legacies meeting. 300 people on a Friday night, people looking impeccable, sounding joyous, happy, and free. I was petrified, but I wanted what they had to offer. The men got to the podium dressed in ties, not that they're going to commit a felony as soon as the meeting's over. They gave AA its respect. The women got dressed in suits and looked proper. And they talked about God, they talked about the three legacies, they talked about getting recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I was pinned against the back of the wall, petrified, but I listened to everything. One night a guy got up there who looked like Sigmund Freud, and I went, oh no. What is he going to share? I spoke about this earlier today, how we hear our story to someone else. This guy who looked like Sigmund Freud told my story. I didn't see that one coming. I could have walked out the door. Desperation kept me planted against the back wall. Let's see what happens. And this Sigmund Freud lookalike tells my story. I've never seen that man again. I almost wept against the back wall, saying, oh my God, that's me. That's me. Someone knows me. He's lived my life. The mom, the dad, the struggles, all of it. The difference between he and I was he was a professional. I remember him saying that. Something in the medical field. And I'm like, in the halfway house. I was brought home after a year. And I went to live with my kid brother. Now, the way I was brought up is I'm supposed to take care of my brothers, my younger brothers, especially my kid brother, the youngest one, yes? And he's taking care of his older brother. And I remember feeling forced humility with that, but he never reminded me what he was doing for me, giving me his couch, paying the rent, buying food, using his phone, never asked for a dime. He was just grateful his older brother was alive. There was one particular day I was going to the St. Mary's meeting, and I'm on Bay Parkway and 69th Street on a Sunday. And it's cold and raining, and it's just one of those ugly days out, kind of like the winter up here. And I got my collar up, and here comes my brother with this gym bag coming from the gym. And there's no one out except me at the bus stop. And his face went white. Like, where's my brother going on a Sunday night? He's at it again. And he says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to St. Mary's Church. There's a meeting there. I'll be home in time. I have some money. We'll order pizza. You know what? I got home on time. My brother was glad to see me. We watched TV, and we ordered a pie, and we had a sober moment. And he began to doubt me less. But here I was away for a year. Now I'm home for a couple of months. I'm living with him. I'm standing on a bus stop to go to a meeting, and he thinks I'm going again. Years of living with an alcoholic will make any child or wife neurotic. The whole family's become ill. They were suffering from alcoholism. They're not alcoholics. They were driven by 100 forms of fear because what I did to them. How can I just come to you and say all I have to do is not drink till I'm a winner? Hold on, I owe. The tornado coming in here, leaving damage and debris. They shouldn't have to clean it up. I should be taking the lead, getting a pick and shovel and saying, you sit, I'll fix the mess I made. And you know what? Don't doubt that, because God will give us the tools, the endurance, and the strength, and the support to go do stuff like that. Because anyone who's walked the path before you had people help them. I saved enough money and got my first apartment. And my brother's with me and supporting me. My middle brother was a little tougher with me. He still smarted from my injustice. And it was a trial with him. He didn't believe anything for a while. And one day he says, "Why are you taking buses to meeting all the time? Take the keys to my car. Go to your meetings with my car." This was indeed miraculous. And my brother invited me over to his house. So I'm sleeping in the same house with my one brother. My other brother's inviting me to his house. And little by little, they were feeding me dignity and respect and trust. I finally got my first apartment. I remember my first night in my apartment, I had someone in AA gave me a sleeping bag. I had AA bumper stickers, first things first, live and let live on the door. I'm a Catholic, I had a crucifix above the door. I take this wherever I go. I don't know who gave me this, a Bible, and my big book was a different big book. I found this, I don't know where it came from. And I slept with my Bible and a big book, a crucifix above the door, all my AA bumper stickers. I was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had a home group. I had a sponsor, and I slept in the sleeping bag. It was a bare apartment. There weren't even shades on the window yet. There was nothing in the place, just four walls. And I slept in paradise that night because I wasn't on the streets and I was a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I was accountable and I had purpose. God gave me a purpose-driven life, and I didn't even ask for it. He just gave it to me. As part of the task that I have to complete, my God puts me on a path. I got sober, not so I could have a nice job and get things. God got me sober to go to work for Him. I have to play by His rules, because when I push my will against God's will, I immediately have fear. I have uncertainty. I have doubt. I have struggle. I'm struggling. Struggle is a mask to the truth. I know right. I know wrong. Suddenly I'm in a place of struggle. It's because I don't want to do what's right. I want to do what's wrong. I love God's will, but I like mine a little bit more today. I need to be willing to be made fundamentally different from the inside out. Where down is up and up is down, and resemble nothing look the way I look when I walked in here. Internally, which manifests out to you. That can't happen to me by having a nice relationship or a good job or having a pocket full of money. It can only happen in the meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, where we get taken to a power greater than ourselves called God. And nothing less than that great fact. Because my AA, when we study our history, it was about taking a drunk to God. And they didn't apologize for that. They weren't politically correct back then. You don't like it? Get drunk, come back and be willing. Be reasonable. We get a little touchy-feely, politically correct in AA. We won't have an AA. The whole thing is about taking a drunk to a God of their own understanding, but getting them to someplace. Wouldn't it be sad with me, with 29 years, all if I could offer a drunk is don't drink and go to meetings? Think I cut a couple of AA classes, that's all I got? Or maybe I'm not even a real alcoholic. We have so much more to offer, and I'm glad the teachers God put in my path had so much more to offer, because you'd have a different speaker here tonight. This was the last house on the block for me. Self manifested in various ways was what had defeated me, my big book says. Because I stopped drinking, those cells are breathing. In fact, I'm more dangerous sober than drunk. Those cells want attention now, and I can't sedate them with booze or anything else. They're screaming, let's go here, let's do this, we need to do this, we need to be here, we need to be dating here, we need to make this kind of money. It goes on and on and on. You know, wake up 5 o'clock in the morning in the middle of a conversation. I didn't ask. How am I fighting with people at 5:30? Why are they following me to work and tucking me in at night? Get away from me. We keep going and keep going and keep going. I become restless, irritable, and discontented long enough. A double vodka looks good right now. Think they drink through, play the tape to the end. Remember, I come from Keep It Green. Page 24 says that's useless. Especially with a strange mental blank spot when you just get hijacked. Can't see you coming. So I'm living in this apartment, and I have a job. We would get paid on Wednesdays, and I was usually borrowing money on Thursday. Now every Wednesday got paid, and I had money from last Wednesday. and I opened up a little account. These are things you do when you're like 19. I'm doing them at 28 and 29 and 30. I couldn't believe I had my thing with my name on it, Peter Marinelli, checking account. I actually felt important that day. There was the bell rang and opened up the door, and my old man is standing there with a box in his arm, one of those boxes you get like in Target or something where it's plates and saucers and dishes and that whole thing and knives and forks, one of those little things. And in his other arm was a coffee maker. And I invited my dad in, and we start to talk in this little studio apartment. By now I had a futon I was sleeping, and I didn't have a bed yet. And I washed the coffee pot out, because AAs drink coffee, so let's have coffee. And I washed the pot out, I made a first cup of coffee, and we had our first sober cup of coffee, our first sober moment, like I did with my brother earlier, me and my old man. I was incredibly uncomfortable during this situation. I didn't know how to act around my dad. And all I had the ability at that moment was just to be there. And I was sober. And I remember the look in his eyes as he was talking to me. I didn't know it. We live life forward and learn it backwards. What that look was, he was looking at me like, he's really sober. My son is alive. My son is sober. It was like he couldn't, but like he found gold in the middle of a haystack. I realized how much damage I did to him and to my brothers. I remember I saved up enough money and bought my first bed. I went to some department store and they delivered a mattress, a box spring, and the bed itself. This was like I discovered plutonium, for God's sake. And I remember throwing my back onto the bed and just rolling around in the mattress, because quite frankly, I can't remember the last time I slept in my own bed. I had one in treatment, I had one in detox, I had one in a halfway house, but the last time I slept in the bed was I was probably 20. Indeed miraculous. My dad brought me respect. My brothers brought me respect. My family brought me integrity. And I come into Alcoholics Anonymous, and you gave me that and even more. You showed me a way of living, a design for living that works. And no matter what I shared, you said, keep coming back. You would shake my hand on the way in and shake my hand on the way out. And when I had no money, you continued to feed me. You pointed me to this big book, and you pointed me to traditions. You assigned me a sponsor that God delivered to me. My first sponsor was a guy named Tony in Brooklyn. I went from him to a guy, Mark Houston from Texas, who went to the big meeting in the sky. And I had people like Gary Brown and Don Pritz and Joe Keegan help me. And my current sponsor is Mickey Musser from Denver, Colorado. My home group is called Alcoholics and God in Fort Lauderdale. We meet Mondays and Thursdays. How did this happen? How do I have a design for living that works? How do I have a purpose-driven life? How am I able to walk head up and shoulders square and not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it? These things don't happen out there. They happen in the meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. My book says intensive work with other alcoholics is something I need to do to stay sober. It ensures immunity from drinking. Intensive work with other alcoholics. It's sponsorship. I come into a fellowship called AA. I find a program called the 12 Steps in the big book Alcoholics Anonymous. And what I do is give it away in the spirit of service, the third legacy. Comes of age says the basic text AA provides is one alcoholic working with another. Service. And I get to live in all three sides of the triangle and pass this message on. And on most days, listen to the soul, but not the head. There's days I listen to my head, and that's when I have fear. There's days I listen to the head, and that's when I'm resentful. There's days I listen to the head, and I'm afraid again, and I hurt. But I seek that what the soul loves, and that is God. And I have a prayer life and a meditative life. My whole life is service. So is Marion's. That's a whole life service. But something happens in the giving, in the spirit of service, and in working with others, like our 12 step says, and our primary purpose says, is pass this message on. Be there for the next drunk. Somehow the more we give, the fuller we get. The soul gets soul food. If you want to be sick, if you want to go hungry, help no one. If you want to go home with abundance and soul food and feeling right and connectedness with God and with others, help others, serve. That's what I do. And I'm not telling anyone to do that. It sounds like I'm lecturing here. It's just my experience. You don't have to do anything. You say, yeah, you can hang out. We'll come get you when you're drunk. Someone said something earlier that, the new guy coming in might be my sponsor in a week from now. I'm clear about that one. That's why I keep paddling and keep chopping wood and carrying wood. And I find out God carries his water in broken pots. That's us. God carries his water in broken pots. That's the members of Alcoholics Anonymous. Room full of broken toys. We've all lost our way. We don't know how to do life. We're not really sure which end is up. And we come here and somehow we get put back together. And we become reliable, dependable, accountable. Try calling my therapist, 2 o'clock in the morning because I'm struggling. I'm going to get the answering machine. If she does pick up, I'll probably see her in a week from now. Call my doctor. I called my doctor today for my annual physical. I go next week. It's 3 weeks in waiting to see my doctor. Call up your dentist, you make an appointment. We'll see you when he's free. That's how the world works. Call up an alcoholic at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what you get? Where are you? I'm on my way. I'm bringing a few with me. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. So I've been able to practice these principles in all my affairs, and I fall short a lot, but it's only because of the power of God. I've been able to do many, many 12-step calls. You don't hear too many of them anymore. Maybe I caught the last of the Mohegans with the 12-step calls when I first got in here. The last hurrah, because treatment centers have taken that away from us. People coming out of treatment pristine and glossy, know all the answers, some of them. My therapist said, well, there's the NFL. We don't do it that way. But I did a lot of those 12-step calls. And there's nothing comfortable about, a couple of guys going to pay a 12-step call, another guy who's in the grip of the grapes, and you have to undress them and put them in the shower and hose them down. It's icky. It's uncomfortable. And you got to get them dressed and put them in your car and take them to a detox. It's uncomfortable. And sometimes it's just an inconvenience. But how could I not do that? Because I'm better for it when I'm done. Especially when that cat's walking down the aisle to get a 60-day or 90-day chip. So that's what we do. We're God's hands and feet. The only thing God wants is our soul. That's everything. And somehow I give God my soul, He gives me a life, huh? And I give Him my life back, and He gives me purpose. And I give God my sinfulness, and He gives me forgiveness. And I give God my drunkenness, and He gives me sobriety. And I give Him sobriety, and He gives me you. How blessed am I? I'm going to close with a quick reading of a book that was given to me a long time ago. And this one page talks nothing about Alcoholics Anonymous, but it says everything about Alcoholics Anonymous. And for me, this summed up our 12-step. And going to work with others, and practicing principles in all our affairs, and being of service. It says this: may I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. I hope I can do that for the next one coming in the door. And I hope I can always stay teachable and give this message away with the same love and gratitude that you have freely given it to me. And for this, I'm forever grateful. That's all I got. Peace.
Amazing day. Amazing. Our first annual Wolftown convention you guys were here for. Next year, hopefully, we'll have a bigger boat for you guys. We have a ton of cleaning up if you guys want to do a little service work, a lot of tables, and put away a lot of chairs. We have a nice way of closing. If you care to join us, I guess we're just got to stay where we're at. unless you want to make a circle, it'll take 3 weeks to do. Or connect up where you're at. How's that sound? Everybody grab a little connection. That's cool. That's cool.
Ron, you want to get in the circle?
Yeah, well, we'll get in there. I'll take a half and half. All right, let's take a moment of silence. Do with it whatever you wish to do with it. If you care to join us, end with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Bill in next Saturday, 8:30 p.m. 8 p.m. starts food and fellowship. Stop by and join us. Thank you.